Is on, and we're speaking with Scott Bove about it. Scott, day one, you get elected. What happens? I mean, what are some of the changes that you would begin to implement at the sheriff's?
One of the things I've thought about that long and hard because, Sheriff Glotis, along with Sheriff Flynn and Herman, they've always done a real good job with a lot of things, and they've also done things that I'm sure they would have changed. I've been lucky enough to watch 3 administrations, the good and the bad, so I've got a good idea as to what I would do forward to, make it a better place to work and a safer place for the staff and Worcester County as a whole. I think number one, you've got to, when the inmates come in, you've got to get them, educate them, give them some workforce training and a variety of other things, and hopefully you send them out, they're a lot better than when they came through the door. One main thing I would probably look at is, everyone's always looked at it as a political machine up there. Mm-hmm. And it truly shouldn't be. One of the first things I would do is, take the politics out of the jail. It really, party affiliation.
Now, when you say that it's a political machine up there and that there's politics, because you had said earlier that you've been in the union,
yep,
been in the administration. You can see how both sides kind of work. Sometimes they're at loggerheads with each other. So the politics, is it just Democrat? It isn't just Democrat-Republican. It seems as if it would be union versus administration. Everybody kind of has an agenda.
Yeah, and it does. It's all over the map. And being there for the 27 years, I've seen it firsthand. I think what I would do is essentially, when it comes to hiring, I would reach out to colleges and high schools and have them do some job banks with them. So we're getting people that are, it's not Uncle Fred calling for a job for somebody. We need to reach out and really do a better job. I would want to implement some psychological testing, have written testing prior to coming to the job. So, okay, if someone wants to send someone along, okay, as long as you can meet these criteria, you have to pass the psychological testing. You have to pass a test before we'll even look at you. So I think some of those things goes a long way towards getting that image of a political beast out of the way, and I think that's important.
Right, so the cronyism that people see as exist, cronyism does exist?
No.
Right now? No? It's more perception?
It's really doesn't exist. But that perception from the old county government days, from way back when, it's hard to shed sometimes. But Sheriff Glotis has done a real nice job with anti-nepotism policies and the like. Mm-hmm. So we've really, I think it's just the skin hasn't completely shed itself of that.
All right, so that would be something you really kind of work to make it a little more apolitical then.
Exactly.
Up at the prison. What else would you do? What would be some programs that you could actually do that would prevent some of these prisoners from going back in and keep them on the straight and narrow?
Well, one of the first things I've been talking about as I've been out there is creating a juvenile diversion program. It's heartbreaking when you see 17-year-old kids coming into jail, and we need to do more. And the juvenile diversion program I talk about, it's essentially getting to kids before they get to us. Because you might have a kid that's on the line, on the fence, and once he jumps over the line, he's in the criminal justice system. It gets expensive. And once again, I said it costs us $35,000 per year for one guy. And that's not taking into account the police costs, the court costs, the probation costs, and all the other costs that go along with it. So if we can keep kids out of jail, that's the key. And essentially cutting the recidivism will eventually save the taxpayers a tremendous amount of money. So, I'd like to have a mechanism in place to teach these kids, that criminal behavior won't be tolerated.
Right.
Teach them how to act socially well in society, and have a mechanism that the parents, sometimes whether the kid is fooling with drugs or alcohol, sometimes parents don't know how to deal with that. I'd like to put a piece in place that we have something that the parent could go to say, Johnny's doing this, Johnny's doing that. And we can help them deal and cope with the difficult situations that sometimes parents have to deal with their children. Now,
Scott, in your career, 27 years, have you already done some of these things? Have you reached out to kids? Are there youth groups, for example, that you might be involved in on the outside to reach these kids?
Yeah, there's a lot of times we'll do tours of a variety of different groups that come through and will tour the facility, so they can see what it's like firsthand if they were to make
some Scared Straight.
Long term. Yeah, it's all similar with Scared Straight, but so I think it's important for them to know what actually happens behind that facility and what goes on, because it's not a nice place to live.
Do you think that sometimes that the kids do have this romanticized idea that somehow maybe getting put into prison would not be that bad?
Well, what happens, we've got, and it's a nationwide issue, there's a tremendous gang problem out there, and a lot of times, the parents are working 2 jobs and the parents aren't around. So a lot of times these kids go to gang members, and gangs are recruiting 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade nowadays. So what happens is, for these young guys, it's a way of life. It's truly a way of life, and it's sad, because they've don't have the home life that they should.
Boy, that's true. I mean, it is incredible. I want to go back a little bit to your background. So you're 18 years old. You're a correctional officer. Boy, I mean, how did you stop from becoming cynical? I would think that a lot of people, I just put myself in your shoes. 27 years down the line, I'm probably not thinking very positively about human nature. Maybe I'm not thinking about, hey, you know, how can I help rehabilitate? Maybe I'm thinking about, I just want to lock these guys up and throw away the key.
Well, I mean, there are days you walk out of the place, you could have a bad day. There could be a variety of things that don't go your way. And one thing that I think the legislature just passed yesterday was a bill to make it a felony up to 10 years in prison if a prison worker, correctional staff gets urine or feces thrown at them. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, you know, I don't think there's a week that goes by that there's not a staff member that has been covered with and they're walking home, they could go there.
I can see where that would not be a great part of the job.
Yeah, and you walk out of there and sometimes you have bad days.
Right, sure.
But what happens, you also see the good things. And that's one reason I'm running, because everyone that walks in that facility is addicted to drugs, alcohol, or a variety of things. And we've got to do a better job. We've got to do a much better job.
So you really see that. I mean, you really see that there is some real causes then that lead to the path that they have taken. As sheriff, I mean, are there ways, then you were just talking about these kids being recruited in the 6th, 7th, 8th grades, are there ways that you as the sheriff can get into the community, can get into the schools and help? Because it seems as if this is what you need to do. Yeah,
I mean, we've obviously haven't done enough through the years as a society. When you see 17-year-old kids coming through the place, like I said earlier, it's heartbreaking. You've got to really reach out through courts, probation, and the schools, and there are federal grants out there that can get us started with that, to actually get in there and work with these kids. There's been, in the 27 years I've been there, I've seen a grandfather, a father, and then a grandson all come in 27 years.
It's like it's the family business.
It's just a way of life, and really, you know, we've done something wrong. We've got to, as a whole, you know, get to the parents and teach them how to raise kids, you know, their children better, how to keep them off drugs and do a variety of things, because it's expensive. At $35,000 a year, it's expensive.
Sure. We don't often have one guest for the whole show, but if you have some time this morning, can you stick around for another segment?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. And what we'll do is our friends from Panera Bread will let you know that they have opened up on Gold Star Boulevard. You should go and visit them and check them out. It's a great place. They brought by some food for us that we're all enjoying, but we'll get to them a little bit later on this week. We'll continue our conversation with Scott, running for sheriff, straight ahead right here on